Hey, seventh graders, welcome to another week. We're going to finish up our chapter on coordinate planes, polygons, and two-dimensional geometry. And we've looked at two types of transformations. We looked at translations, so sliding a figure one way or another, okay? That's translations. Then we also talked about reflection, so having a figure and reflecting it about the y-axis or about the x-axis, okay? Now today we're going to talk about rotations. So we're going to talk about what happens when a figure rotates around a given point. So we're going to start off with a simple example. Draw me a coordinate plane that is a 5 by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Okay? And we're going to label a point 3, 2. So 3, 2. Okay, so we're going to call it point P, and it is 3, 2. So that's where we want to start off. Okay, now we're going to talk about three types of rotations today, and then tomorrow's IXL, which I've already started, is going to deal with rotations that look a little bit different but are related to these three that we're talking about here. So we have what we call a 90-degree rotation, a 180-degree rotation, and a 270-degree rotation. Hopefully these are kind of familiar to you. A right angle, straight angle, and then this is a 3/4 turn. The next one would be 360 in this sequence, but you're going to find out 360 doesn't do anything to my figure, and I'll show you what I mean by that. We're also talking about today counterclockwise. Counterclockwise rotation. So when you're looking at your diagram, counterclockwise would be the opposite of what a clock does. So you know, clock moves, this is clockwise in the direction of my finger. Counterclockwise is the opposite way. Counter going against clockwise. Okay, so we have different rules for these counterclockwise rotations. So a 90-degree rotation is, so if I have my figure here, would be a 90-degree turn or a quarter turn, and there's a rule for that. So if you had your coordinates x, y, and I gotta make sure I get these down, the rule is going to be negative y, x. Okay, so that's going to be fun to remember. So a 90-degree turn. What do you do with the coordinates? You switch them, okay? You switch them, but you also change the sign of the y coordinate. Okay, so we have to be very careful with that. So let's do that here for a 90-degree. For this point right here, we started off with 3, 2, and then, okay, we have to switch them around, but we also have to change the sign of the y value. So it's going to become negative 2, 3. That's going to be a 90-degree turn counterclockwise. Let's see what that does. So negative 2, 3. Okay, so that's P prime because that's the first movement that I made. So if I move this point and I rotate it 90 degrees, that's where I'm going to get. And I want to see if that makes sense here. Do you see this paper right here? Okay, so I'm drawing on my paper here. See the point right there? Okay, if I rotate this paper about the origin, if I rotate it right there, oh, my drawing's not perfect, but yeah, I get about where that point should be because my graph is not perfect, but it should be about over here, which is where P prime is. Okay, that's a 90-degree turn. All right, let's look at, I'll keep that up there. Let's look at the rule for a 180-degree turn. So we're going to start again with the first point right here, P, and we're going to see what happens if I rotate it a full half turn, counterclockwise, okay? So the rule for the 180-degree rotation is negative x, negative y. So you notice that the x and the y stay the same, but their signs both change. So if we're talking about a 180-degree rotation here, 3, 2, they stay the same, but you switch their signs. So negative 3, negative 2. So that's the rule. So here, negative 3, negative 2. That's P prime prime. Notice I put two little tick marks because I'm showing that it is moved twice. Okay, so here's the original, and if I'm starting with the origin, I put a finger on the origin. If that's where P is, 90-degree turn, 180-degree turn, and that's going to be about right here where P prime, second prime right there. That's a 180-degree turn. Okay, and then we have the last one, which is a 270-degree turn, and there is a rule for that. That's going to be y comma negative x. Y comma negative x. So notice the numbers switch, but this time you change the sign of the x value. So if I had a 270 degree, you guys can see it, yeah, 270 degree counterclockwise turn, you're going to switch the numbers, but you're going to change the sign of x. So it's going to become 2 comma negative 3. Okay, let's see where that puts us. 2, negative 3 right here. And guess how many tick marks that P gets? 1, 2, 3. It's the third movement of that point. Okay, so let's look at a 270-degree turn. So here's right there. Okay, so it comes right about there, which is where my point is at. That's a 270-degree counterclockwise turn. All right, I'm just going to show you what a 360-degree turn does, which is pretty fascinating, right? That's a full turn around, right? So here, 90, 180, 270, 360. That's a full turn, and guess what? It comes to be in the same spot. So that's why we don't really say there's a rotation with 360, because it stays the same. But those are my points based on my rules here of the original point P 3, 2. Okay, I think we have time for one more. We're going to do it with an actual figure. I'm going to leave the rules up there, and then we're just going to apply it. So you only have 3 problems of rotations. Just make sure you know which rotation you're dealing with. Okay, so in this problem, let's go a 5 by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, graph paper is going to be our best friend. Okay, so this is going to be a triangle, and we're going to apply the same rules of rotation. So the triangle has a vertex at negative 5, 1. Negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. So that's H. Negative 5, 1. And then we're going to do the second point, 1, 4, 1, 4. That's point I. 1, comma 4. And then the last point of this triangle is 2, 2. J is 2, 2. So 2, 2. That's J. 2, 2. Okay. So technically these are 3 separate problems. So it's going to get a little cluttered, but basically I'm going to connect these points. Okay, so that's my triangle, and then I'm going to rotate it a 90 degree, a 180 degree, and a 270 degree. Okay, so I'm going to use a different marker. I'll try to use this blue here, and we're going to do a 90 degree counterclockwise. So 90 degree, and that rule is going to be, so I'm going to take, basically I'm going to take each point, and I'm going to do what I did in the last example. So I'm going to take negative 5, 1. Okay, that's my H point. All right, for a 90 degree turn, I switch the 2, and I get the sign, I change the sign of the Y value. So it becomes negative 1, negative 5. Okay? So these numbers switch, and I got the opposite of the Y value. So negative 1, negative 5. That is the new H prime. That's the H prime value. Negative 5, 1. Oh, excuse me. Negative 1, negative 5. Okay, so that's my H prime. I'm going to do that with 1, 4, the I point. Struggling with that. 1, comma 4. Okay, so I'm going to switch it, and I'm going to change the sign of the Y value. So I'm going to make that negative 4, 1. Negative 4, 1. So negative 4, 1 would be right here. That's I prime. Negative 4, 1. And then the last one is the 2, 2, which is a nice one. I'm going to switch them and change the sign of the y value, so negative 2, 2. So negative 2, 2 would be right here. That's my j prime. Negative 2, 2. Okay, so hopefully you can see the blue up there. If not, I am very, very sorry. Okay, so that's a triangle right there. It was a 90-degree clockwise turn, so kind of think of it like this about the origin. Okay, you can see the triangle's outline. If I move it 90 degrees counterclockwise, it goes right there. That makes sense. So here, like look at point H, which is where my finger, so I have a finger on the origin and a finger at point H right there. So if I rotate 90 degrees, there's point H down there. And so that's going to be the figure rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise. Yeah, 90 degrees counterclockwise. Okay? We're going to do that same figure, but this time we're going to do it with a 180 degree rotation. So here I had my H. Was this negative, or where this was? Oh yeah, H was negative 5, 1. Okay, all right, so there's that. And this time we're going to do a 180 degree counterclockwise rotation. I'll do it with black. I think you can see it better. 180 degree counterclockwise. And that rule again, you switch them, you switch the signs. Both sides get switched, which is, again, very nice. So here I have my H value, and I'll write it clearer. So H was negative 5, 1. So what does it become? I switch both the signs, and it becomes 5, negative 1. That's the H prime. So 5, negative 1, that's H prime. That's a new spot for that one. I is 1, 4. So I have to change both signs. Negative 1, negative 4. So negative 1, negative 4. That's my I prime location. And then the J, which was 2, 2, becomes negative 2, negative 2. So negative 2, negative 2. That's my J prime. And let's see if I get the same figure. Yep. So you see it got rotated this time. Let's see where we're at. 180 degrees. So that's quarter turn, full turn. And you can see that it gets the same figure there, just rotated 180 degrees. Okay, so that's what you're doing on this lesson. Just follow the rules. So I want you on your graph paper, you're gonna graph the original and its rotation, but also show me what the rule changes were. And you're like, man, that's a lot to do for one problem. Yeah, and you 2, 4, 6, 8. You have 4 problems. You have 4 problems that you're going to do with this, so hopefully it won't be too overburdensome. And one of them was done for you, so you have to still draw it out there and show me the work, but it's already done for you. You should know what to do. All right, guys. So your homework tonight or today is going to be numbers 2 through 8 even. And just follow the instructions. So homework, numbers 2 through 8 even. And that's going to be found on pages 317 through 18. 317 through 18. And that'll be due for today. We will have a quiz on Thursday. So this is the last new lesson. Tomorrow I'm going to have you do some IXLs. Tomorrow and Wednesday do some IXLs. But I'll give you some help through a video tomorrow with that if you need help with the IXLs. Please follow the instructions that I give to you online, and you should be okay with that. Okay, take care, guys. And if you have any questions, just email me or send me a Google Classroom question. All right, take care, guys.